Welcome to Access a Trader, the #1 community for those who are committed to taking control of their trading in order to achieve success, profitability, and longevity. Thank you for joining us. Here's Dan Shapiro to help you find your edge, master your process, and own your future.
Hey guys, good morning everybody. Welcome to another edition of the AccessATrader.com weekend update show. It is Saturday morning. It is 8:30 a.m. Already gone to the gym, already went to the sauna. Ready for the day, right? Ready for the day. Always take care of your health, your loved ones, your family and friends. Again, when it all breaks down, that is the most important part of life. Kindly guys, show your support for the channel. If you like the content, if you like what we are doing, all I ask is take a moment out, click the symbol, the like button, share, subscribe if you haven't come aboard already. One piece of business left, guys. If you are interested in pivots and you are coming aboard this week, guys, take advantage. Next Sunday, right? We're about a week away. Next Sunday, we are just doing a refresher course of the PS60 workshop. If you watched the first two workshops, about 8-9 hours breaking down the theory, what we're doing next Sunday is just kind of a refresher course, right? We'll go over 20-30 minutes of what the PS60 is, but the most important part is what we added to it. On the last several years, since the last PS60 workshop, we've added an incredible amount of stuff that is beneficial on a day-to-day basis. We are going to take a deep dive into the rejections, into the supply, into bounces, into support, and most important, what I think a lot of you guys have noticed has been an incredible game changer, really game changer over the last several years, is using option flow properly to give us the biggest bang for our buck. And we'll talk about kind of an example in a second. So if you are interested, come aboard. If you are come aboard this week, again, added bonus, you will be included into the PS60 workshop on Sunday, and that won't be released to the general public till at least 2026. So let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about it. So the market got a little bit of curveball this week, right? There's always something in the tape. It feels like we can't go a week without a new headline, new concern, new geopolitical event, something that's going to rattle the market. Because if it wasn't, why would anybody watch the greatest reality show that's not on television? And this week we got, pretty big matzo ball. You have now an escalation of war, right? Of war between Iraq, I keep on saying Iraq, Iran, in Israel. Israel set very much ablaze to their nuclear facilities. It looks like Iran struck back, I believe. I could be wrong. There's so much stuff going on. I can't tell what's real or not. But obviously, this is a very big concern. Already, we are making steps to trying to get kind of a little bit of a ceasefire, or at least something. You started hearing a little bit of murmurs of Trump, Netanyahu, even Putin, I think, got involved on Friday to try to kind of, pretty much stop this before it escalates pretty much aggressively. So it'd be wonderful to see, and wishful thinking, but it would be wonderful to see if there is some sort of at least temporary ceasefire by the time you see this video going into this week. What's bad, obviously, for equity prices, because again, the Dow went down about 800 points on Friday. Pretty big decline. Obviously, you can see the NASDAQ getting hit as well. But what is bad for equity prices is good for oil, right? It's good for oil, is good for gold stocks. And obviously, if you look at the GLD especially, right? If you look at the GLD especially, you can see, pretty aggressive breakout on gold, getting above the April 22 high. So it's good for what's bad for equities is obviously good for commodities, and again, flight to safety. Next week, we have another Fed decision. The consensus is they are going to put rates on hold, which is obviously pretty much the routine that we've been seeing for a while now. And the most important part is now, how does the market play out with this war, right? We don't know how long it's going to last. Again, wishful thinking, hopeful thinking. It will get some sort of clarity over the weekend, maybe a little bit temporary ceasefire, cooler heads prevail. Obviously, nobody wants to see any loss of life on any level. But again, traditionally, how does the market react to war? If you guys remember, going back to a year and a half ago, which it was, Russia and Ukraine, right? That's the latest example. Russia and Ukraine. There was a pretty aggressive knee-jerk reaction for the first, 2, 3, maybe 4 sessions. And just like everything else that the market deals with, the market eventually goes numb to it, right? I mean, again, think about it. Russia and the Ukraine have been fighting nonstop with temporary little layoffs for about a year and a half. And it didn't stop the market basically going back to all-time highs. So do I think if there is going to be a continuation of escalation of war in the next 2, 3, 4 sessions? Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a lot more aggressive. There will be a lot more volatility. There'll be a lot more uncertainty. There'll be a lot more weakness with pockets of strength. But ultimately, just like everything else, and you can go through history. You can go through 9/11. You can go through wars. You can go through the financial crisis. Hell, you can go through the pandemic, and you can go through the Ukraine-Russian war. Eventually, the markets, like everything else, goes tone deaf, right? We go tone deaf, and the market starts organically trading on its own 2 feet. Big stories this week, right? The bromance breakup to make up the love affair between Trump and Elon Musk. We went from Elon is the greatest patriot. He's doing a tremendous job for the United States of America to Elon is a lunatic. He's about to get deported. And Elon strikes back. Oh, that's cool and all, but, one of us is on the Epstein tapes. Ha, 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 right? Then he deleted, right? Then he deleted that tweet. And now into last week, all of a sudden they're kind of made up again. The bromance is back on. Tesla is back on its rightful course of upside action after a disgusting debacle earlier in the week. And now we are back in good graces and the bromance is way ahead of itself. All good. NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA decided, you know what? We are going to completely eliminate any China forecasts going forward, right? On all guidance. Yeah, let's just pretend it doesn't exist. Let's pretend China doesn't exist. Again, I have no dog in this fight. I don't care if NVIDIA goes higher or lower. But the most important part is I love the fact that we're going to just eliminate that toxic part of our business and we just won't talk about it anymore. Let's put it out of the way. Ironically, NVIDIA's been holding up fairly well. Okay, obviously Friday got hit a little bit, holding up fairly well. That 45 level, guys, it's been tested now 3, 4 separate times. You can see it. It got tested on June the 9th, got tested on June the 11th, got tested on June the 12th. There is a whole float, literally the whole float is sitting at 145 making sales. I don't know the significance of that 145 level. If you look at the chart, it doesn't really show you why 145 is a significant level. You had 143.44 taking out the macro range. And for some reason, there is just it's speculation. Who the hell knows in there? It could be McKinsey sitting on the offer. It could be the CEO, the ex-chairman himself, right? Bezos sitting on the offer. Who the hell knows? But there is an enormous amount of stock for sale at 145. It'll be interesting to see in the next couple of weeks if they could finally get through it. Because again, there's massive option flow, absolutely massive option flow with short-term expiration. Notably, we talked about, I think it was on Wednesday's video, that a buyer came in for 10,000, folks, 10,000 of the June 20 expiration. So this up and coming week expiration for the 150 call. It's $1.5 million bet for a week's worth of premium. So again, we'll see if NVIDIA can get its way up. But the most important part is kind of where we close, right? And I've always said this, no matter what happens in the market, no matter what your opinions are, the most important part is fair value. Fair value is always closing price. That's it, guys. That's the 4 o'clock close. Whatever that last price is, that's the fair value, regardless of what your opinion is going into the future. And as you can see here, this is our first close below the 10-day moving average, right? First close below the 10 days. You can see this whole formation, right? Whole formation. Every single time we got to the 10-day moving average on the back test, we bounced. So this is the first close below the 10-day moving average. Does that mean now we are going to get absolutely annihilated over the next several weeks? No, again, it's the 10-day moving average, not the 50, right? The 50 is significant. You lose the 50, there's going to be a macro damage. If you reclaim the 50, there's going to be a big macro move, as you can see. So we're far from that having a conversation of, well, you should be really, really careful if you're buying stocks, but it's something to at least acknowledge going into Monday's session. And I think at least for Monday, you should have the ability to trade both sides of the market because we did close below the 10-day moving average. And it's going to be very, very important to see if we can confirm Friday's prices. Can we go down to the 20-day, which is roughly around 521? And if you look at some of the names, right, we'll go through some charts in a second. If you look at some of the names, you can see some stocks are completely disconnected from headlines, and then you're starting to see some stocks that are starting to get softened. If you guys remember on Wednesday's video, we kept on talking about Apple, right? 200, 200, 200, 200 big level, 200 big level. Well, Apple's below 200, right? Apple's below 200. And now we are trying to see if there's going to be additional weakness in this week. We're going to see if it could take out this macro channel here. This macro channel here is the May 7th lows, which is roughly 193. It already is below the $200 level I discussed on Wednesday. And now this next big level here is this 193 level. This thing starts losing this 193 level. It's going to significantly take down a macro channel. And then you start talking about a bigger potential all the way down to 190, which is the April lows. Tesla, right? Tesla, after, again, the significant disturbing bromance that we've had, we're not that far away from busting out of the channel. Again, as much as you've seen incredible aggressive behavior on Tesla, both long and short, all it needs to do, and you guys, and this is a very, very big level here, all it needs to do is confirm the June highs, okay? If it can get back above the June highs, not only will that reclaim back the 20-day supply, it's going to give it a lot of airspace, right? So this 20-day supply, June highs is a very, very important level for Tesla. If it could get back above the level, then we have a potential and at least a conversation piece that we can see a move right back to the 367, 70 highs on May the 29th. So very, very significant for that. Let's talk about some halves, right? Oracle, phenomenal numbers, right? Really, really big numbers. We had a really nice pivot on, we'll get to the pivots in a second. We had a really nice pivot on Oracle going into yesterday for continuation. That's obviously standing out really, really well. You look at a name like Circle, right? Circle has been an absolutely monster, right? Monster. Again, massive pivot on Friday on Circle. And this is the notable. This is kind of what we talk about, and this is what we'll discuss a little bit more in detail on the June 22nd refresher course of the PS60 theory. The options market. The options market set this thing on fire. A buyer came in for the January 150 calls, and he didn't come in for 100 Rand. He came in for $2 million. That was a significant bet, and that's what we talk about, the options market driving prices when they confirm on a daily level. And now Circle is a couple of bucks away from its short-lived IPO highs, but this thing looks really, really strong. So there's a lot of names, right? There's a lot of names, the haves, the have-nots. Like I said, the oil stocks are doing well. The names of gold is doing well. Again, oil and gold's not really my thing, but again, you have to at least acknowledge where the money flow is going. However, there is a downside to that. Apple, I'm watching continuation of weakness. MU had a really, really big run, is still having a really, really, amazing, amazing run. In case they pull, again, I'm always a believer in gravity, and especially if they lose the 5-day support. You see how MU, you see this orange line, this is the 5-day support. You see how it keeps on bouncing off the 5-day support. If the market gets pulled this week, and again, this is the first close below the 10-day moving average, I'm going to keep an eye on MU to see if it could lose the 5-day, because if it does have pretty decent rube to the 10-day moving average. PLTR has been acting incredibly, incredibly well. Again, this whole war, AI stuff is actually good for PLTR. I forgot the significance of it. I apologize. Again, if you could do a little digging, you kind of see. As you can see here, it's been rejected at the same area now, back-to-back days. Well, actually, back-to-back the last 2 out of the 3 days. If the market continues to kind of, be decent, right? Decent or solid. Eventually, PLTR would bust this upper Bollinger Band. I'm going to watch the video as well. I'm going to watch, obviously, the both sides, but just like the cues, if NVIDIA loses the 10-day moving average, you can see here, it's 3 points of reference that you can point to see why this 10-day is significant. If you see here, it held the 10-day moving average on 5/23. It held the 10-day moving average on 5/30, and it held the 10-day moving average on Friday. So if it loses the 10-day moving average, there is a good amount of room to the 20-day supply. ADM is a name, looks really, really good. Archer Daniel Midlands. Look at this thing, man. Look at this big, big, big distribution. Look at you have volume expansion. Keep an eye on this thing. It's going to be a slower mover. It's not a sexy one, but if you're looking for a nice swing, if it has to confirm Friday's channel to expand, but this thing looks really, really good. And speaking of IPOs, look at this Voyage. From what I understand, they're a defense aerospace industry, right? Stock is only alive for 3 days, but Friday was his first green candle. Keep an eye on this thing. If it starts building above Friday's channel, maybe this thing wakes up as well. So the IPO market is obviously hot. So let's talk about really quickly on Friday's pivots. There were two pretty big pivots and one nice bounce. So here's the opening pretty much headlines. Big gap down in equities following the Israeli-Iran developments. This is going to lead to overreaction, which is always the case in the morning. Let the noise die out and let the channels develop. Worst case scenario, we'll start the day at 10 o'clock, which is the first channel confirmation. And this is all you needed, man. This is my trade from Friday. This was really, really good. Oracle just went nuts, right? They came in with the weekly 210s. They came in for next week's 220 calls. This thing got above 202.50, put an opening range high of 205, retraced, and once it got back above the 205, it just went out of its mind. This is one of the cleanest trades I've had the whole week. I mean, honestly, on non-beta names. So here was the 205, right? The opening range 205, and this thing just went absolutely nuts. Congratulations for all you guys who caught it. CRCL went nuts, right? CRCL went nuts. Here are the two key levels. 118 and 120.50 are the key areas. A buyer comes in for the January $50 calls, $2 million bucks, and as you can see, not Oracle, CRCL is pretty much the same symbol. It went nuts. So here is the 18, right? Here's the 18. Here's the 20.5, and the stock traded all the way up to 35. So absolutely huge move there. I believe that was it, right? I believe that was it. I don't think anything else confirmed. Oh, yeah. And there was the bounce on NVIDIA. For experienced trader, 41.50s was the low from June the 10th. If it holds, you can take it for a bounce with a 41 stop. It held, right? Because the low of the day was 141.07. Traded up to like 43.50s before kind of giving up its gains. But again, the most important part is you are not trying to guess the closing price. You're just trying to win your interval. So that's it, guys. Everybody have a great weekend. For all you guys who are coming aboard this week, I look forward to meeting you guys. And next weekend is going to be the refresher course of the PS60 theory, more of a deep dive into the options flow game and the rejection and the bounce part of our process. Guys, have a great night, have a great weekend, and God bless, and I will see you all next week. Take care.